I made a discovery recently that set my tiny little pea brain ablaze, especially considering all it's really been good for in the past couple of weeks is binge watching Love is Blind. I know I'm late to the party, but I'm officially a little bit addicted to that show. But I digress. What I'm talking about is crocheting with your non-dominant hand, which is really a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. A friend of mine mentioned the other day that she's always really wanted to learn how to crochet, but she's a lefty and she's always found it super confusing because all of the tutorials that you find on YouTube and stuff are mostly for right-handed people. And this is something that I, as someone whose strong hand is majorly favored in society, had never considered. So this prompted me to grab some yarn and give it a try. And I hate to say it, but Lefty here is quite the embarrassment. Or rather, the pea brain that I mentioned earlier has a really hard time communicating with her for some reason. I went back and forth for a while, chaining with the right and trying to make a mental note of exactly how I was holding everything, and then trying to switch it over to the left and mirror that somehow, and not a single chain was chained. Eventually I decided to just put down my hook and my yarn because this was a journey that at least a couple hundred people on my YouTube channel needed to be along for. An experiment not only in crocheting non-dom, but in training my useless appendage and in learning a little bit about lefties along the way. The first question I asked myself when I decided that I wanted to do this project was, can you train your non-dominant hand? Can you switch? Can you go from a righty to a lefty? I mean, I guess you would go from a righty to an ambidextrous person because I don't think you would lose the ability in your dominant hand and just like transfer the power to the other one. But is that possible? Like, can you get as good at writing or doing anything with your left hand? Is it something that we're just trained to do as a child? In my research, I found that only about 10% of people are left-handed, making about 90% of people right-handed, and a very rare and exclusive 1-ish% of people are ambidextrous, meaning that they can use either hand just as well. Studies have found that your dominant hand is likely hardwired into you before you're even born. An Irish psychologist named Peter Hepper did an experiment where he looked at the sonograms of babies and he took notice of which thumb the babies were sucking. Of the group that he studied, about 90% of the babies were sucking their right thumb and about 10% of the babies were sucking their left thumb. By the time those babies were 12 years old, almost all of the children had a dominant hand that corresponded with the thumb that they used to suck in the womb. So it's thought that we have a genetic and possibly a hereditary predisposition to our handedness. One theory about how this happened is that our ancestors were basically forced to do things right-handed so that they could easily share tools, and this becoming a necessity for survival eventually became a genetic trait. The brain is split into left and right hemispheres, and each hemisphere of the brain controls the opposite side of the body. So it's thought that left-handed people really favor the right side of their brain and right-handed people favor the left side of their brain. Because there's such a link between our brains and our dominant hands, some scientists think that trying to force a child to switch their dominant hand to fit societal norms is actually really dangerous. It's said that doing so can cause developmental issues, learning disabilities, and even impair motor skills. So, not a great idea to do to a child probably, but since I'm 35 and apparently my brain is already fully developed, I think that I'll be okay to try this experiment. Born on April 15th, 1452, which is coming up, kind of want to have a birthday party for this person, is arguably the world's most famous lefty. The genius, artist, and scientist best known for his paintings, you know, those little old things, the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci. Of course. People have been fascinated with his left-handedness for hundreds of years, mostly because Leonardo da Vinci used to write from right to left across a page. There are all kinds of conspiracies about this. Some people think that he was trying to be cryptic and keep people from stealing his ideas, but really it's very easy to read if you know what you're looking for, and you can also just look at it in a mirror and it would be the correct way. So it wasn't a code or anything. He just was writing that way so that he wouldn't drag his hand hand through the ink as he wrote. When thinking about this video idea and realizing that I really wanted to try to crochet left-handed, I knew that I wanted to do something unique, and I wanted to in some way feature some kind of famous left-handed person. Almost immediately in my research I came across Leonardo da Vinci, and I was looking for something of his that I could replicate in crochet, and I found a sketch of a bag that he had done somewhere around 1497. He titled this sketch the Pretiosa, which I'm sure I am butchering, but it means precious. And then in 2012, an Italian designer called Giardini, I think, modeled and made a handbag in brass and leather that was meant to look like Leonardo da Vinci's sketch. I thought this was so cool, and I knew immediately, this is what I want to try to crochet with my left hand. At least something that is the same like general shape, because I'm not even confident in chaining with this dumb hand at this point. Like I mentioned, I did try to figure this out on my own and I got absolutely nowhere. So I am going to try to watch a couple tutorials on how to crochet with your left hand. I am assuming those exist. I'm also not going to do brown like the leather bag that was made by the Italian designer. I'm a colorful gal and brighter colors show up better on camera anyway. And Google tells me that butter yellow is the hottest color of spring 2025. So we're going with this pretty little yellow color in Big Twist value, which I'm gonna miss. Is Big Twist going to a different store? Since I think they're like exclusively Joann, right? So where's Big Twist going? Does anybody know the tea? Okay, so I found a video on here by Bella Coco called How to Crochet Left-Handed for Absolute Beginners. It has 1 million views, 1 million other people trusted this video, so I'm gonna give it a try.
And bring your crochet hook towards you and through the loop. That is a chain, and pull it through. Around, grab the yarn and pull it through. Crochet hook towards you and through the loop. That is a chain.
Okay, I finally got my foundation chain done. I had to frog and redo this probably like 10 times because I kept wrapping, oh, see, I'm grabbing it with my right hand instinctually. I kept wrapping the yarn like the wrong direction around the hook. Like I would forget that I should be wrapping it behind and I would wrap it in front of, and then it was messing up the chain. I've made probably 1 million chains in my life with my right hand, but it's so confusing to try to make your brain do it the opposite way. So I decided for my bag, I wanted about this wide at the base, and I've done a nice little sketch here of my pattern. So basically my bag is going to consist of 2 parts, but it's all going to be connected into one. We've got the bulk of the bag, which is kind of like an hourglass shape, and then we've got a little flap that I have drawn to look like a little pair of undie pants. I'm going to just crochet in around this chain. So I'm going to crochet on both sides of the chain to make the bag. I'm just going to decrease as I go up to make it that shape in Leo's little doodle. I'm sorry, I didn't mean offense by that. Leonardo da Vinci, it's not a little doodle, it's a great work of art. That will eventually form a bag, and then I will keep crocheting up and make this flippy flap. And then I was thinking maybe I'll add a strap. His didn't have a strap, but like if I want to use mine for spring, if I want to do butter yellow for spring like all the girlies, then I will probably maybe add a strap if I have the patience. I'm already running out of it and I'm nervous to start actually single crocheting. It feels so wrong to crochet in this direction. I need to figure out a comfortable way to wrap this yarn. I guess kind of like this is how I would do it with my other hand. So I'm going back this way, going in to this. Okay, I think I've done it. Wait, now I forget how to even do, okay, wait, so I go through 1, okay, 2 loops on the hook. Now, wait, see, I keep forgetting which direction to wrap. I think I wrapped the wrong direction on that last one. I'm taking it out. Okay, so grab this yarn. Okay, we're wrapping around the back of the hook, grabbing, okay, hold on. We're inserting first. We insert around the back of the hook through 1, wrap around the back of the hook, see I did it wrong, and then through 2. Oh my gosh, I've done a single crochet, I think. Let's move on to the next one. Around the back, through. Am I doing it? I'm so confused. This doesn't look right at all. That doesn't seem like 2 single crochets, does it? No, this is so not right. Look at how far away this is. I'm like making a triangle somehow. I'm like crocheting up. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on, I gotta consult my video.
Yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook.
Okay, I think I'm starting to figure it out. The hardest part for me, I think, is like trying to hold it. I feel like I'm getting into a little bit of a rhythm with this. And in my defense, if you know how to crochet, you know that the first row after the chain is like the hardest row. You have to like pay the most attention, I feel like, when you do that row. So it makes sense that I am having a little bit of a difficult time with this row. I'm hoping as we keep going it'll get easier. And I'm really interested to see how much faster I will be by the end of this project. But I really do feel like I'm learning a completely new craft. Like I feel like I'm learning to crochet for the first time ever. I finally made it all the way down my chain, and I'm making it extra confusing for myself because then I turned at the end and I'm gonna go up this other side of the chain. I think I'm gonna go sit on the couch and turn on my brain rot reality show television and do this. My left hand right in here is getting like so cramped up. It is not used to being used this much. So I'm hoping that it doesn't give me too much trouble and I can actually finish this little bag. The sun is out. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is how you know that I'm not cheating on this project, because this is how far I've gotten. And if I would have been doing this with my right hand, I could have probably made 2 of these in the time that it's taken me to get this far with my left hand. My wrist is sore, my hand is sore. I'm wishing that I made this like half the size, but here we are. I'm trying to go out and then I'm gonna start curving in to make that shape, and that's the start of the bag. So I'm gonna go to sleep, I guess, and wake up probably at like 6 p.m. and get back to it. Bye. I'm back. It's like 11:30 p.m. the same day, next day. I had a very dysfunctional sleep, but I'm rested and I'm ready to finish this bag. Hopefully tonight / this tomorrow morning. I don't know. I'm confusing myself with this weird sleep schedule that I'm on, but I figured to start the night out, it would be fun if I tested just how slow I am with my left hand. I feel like I'm getting into like a little bit of a rhythm. I'm kind of figuring out how to do it. I've been like wrapping with my right hand, which I don't do. I have seen some people do that when I watch other people crochet, but I never do that. I usually just grab the yarn, but I find it easier when I'm crocheting with my left hand to wrap it with my right hand. And I'm very slow, but I am getting a little bit faster. So I'm gonna do a test. I'm gonna do 1 round with my left hand, and then I'm gonna switch to my right hand, see how fast I can do it, and then I'm gonna frog the right hand round because we're not cheating at all. I've gotten a little bit further on my bag. I crocheted like a few, maybe 4 or 5 rows tonight while I was just watching Love is Blind. Again, I am regretting how big I made this thing, but pretty soon I'm gonna start decreasing and like round this out and then go up and decrease more. I don't know, I'm really just making this up as I go. I'm not very good at like creating my own patterns, but I'm trying to figure it out. Now, to do a speed test on my channel, there are some very important accessories that must be worn. If you know, you know. If you've seen it, you've seen it. It'll be in the cards if you haven't seen it, but a lot of people liked this little set, so I figure, why not? I still have it. Okay, let me get comfortable, let me get set up, let me try to remember how to do this. I feel like if I stop doing it, I like forget how to do it. I'm not gonna try to rush because I know then I'll get like psyched out and I'll go way slower. So both times I'm just gonna try to just go at my normal pace. I'm not doing like a race. I just actually wanna see how long this takes me. There are 95 stitches in this round. I'm doing all single crochets, so let's see how fast I can do it with old Lefty here. Ready, steady, Betty Spaghetti. Okay, we're off to a slow start. But see, I just insert, wrap it, and that's the fastest method I have been able to come up with. My hands are cramping because of the way I have started holding this. Like, I just don't know a good way. I haven't done it enough to figure out a good way to actually hold it that is actually like comfortable. Okay, I'm about halfway. I'm not looking at the clock, but I feel like it's taking me forever. About 3/4 of the way done. Okay, my hand is really cramping up. It's actually my right hand that's hurting more than my left. I'm like 5 stitches away from the end. Okay, one more. Time. Whew, okay. I hadn't looked at the clock at all, so 10 minutes. I'm actually like, I don't know. I guess that's probably about on track with what I figured. Seems a little long, but 10 minutes for one row. I think I can probably half that on the righty row. Ready, steady, Betty Spaghetti. Oh my gosh, it feels so nice to crochet with my right hand. Look how much faster I can whiz through these stitches. And how much easier it is for me to hold the tension with my left hand. Like, why can't I do that with my right hand? I don't understand. I'm sure if I kept practicing, I would probably figure it out, but I will never do this again after this experiment. I mean, I don't know why I would. These left-handed stitches are so, like, I'm crocheting them so tight. I'm having a hard time getting my hook into them. I think that's slowing me down a little bit because I'm having to like really find them and push my hook into them. They're like not very easy to find. I don't know if that's just like the way I'm holding the tension or if that's like something specific about left-handed crocheting, because my right-handed stitches are looking like way more open and loose. Halfway. We're cruising along. I love crocheting with my dominant hand. Almost there. Two more. And time. Whoa. Not even 4 minutes. Okay, righty blew lefty out of the frickin' water. And I honestly really do think that I could have gone faster if these left-handed stitches wouldn't have been so tight. I was like really having to like shove the hook into them. Also, they look different, don't they? Like, look at that row on the edge here compared to these like super tightly woven left-handed stitches. Interesting. I'm gonna frog this row, so you're gonna see that I'm not cheating. I'm doing all of this with lefty. Back to the stitch marker from whence we came. So now I think I'm going to start decreasing so that, see how it's kind of, I've got like a little bit of a curve going here. I want it to go in. I'm gonna go back to the couch, watch my little show, and I'll give you an update at like 3 a.m. probably. It is almost 5 in the morning and we are almost done. Here's where I'm at. I've got the little like curvy hourglass shape, and then I've got the flap that's coming over the top. I'm gonna keep crocheting this a little bit down, and then I think I'll add a strap perhaps and it'll be done. I'm gonna try to do that before I go to sleep. So when you see me next, it will be tomorrow, and it will be the reveal of this wonderful left-handed creation. Here she is! Is she perfect? Absolutely not. Was this easy? Absolutely not. It took me about 13 hours over 2 evenings / mornings to crochet this thing with my left hand. From what we concluded in the speed test, it would have only taken me about 5 hours to crochet this with my right hand, and honestly, I think probably less than 5 hours. I definitely did get better and faster as I went along though. I started to develop a little bit of a technique, and it was crazy because although I've been crocheting for like probably the past 15 years of my life, I felt like I was doing an entirely different craft. Like I didn't feel like I was crocheting. I will definitely never do this again, so I don't really need any like lefty crochet pointers. But if you have any encouraging tips, maybe leave them down below for people who are left-handed and might have stumbled across this video and think that it's too hard for them to learn to crochet. It was hard, but it is completely doable, and I am confident, I think, enough to say that if something ever happened that incapacitated my dominant hand, I would be able to still do the things that I love to do with the lefty. Now, as far as the construction of the bag, I explained a little bit throughout the process, but I crocheted around the base chain to make kind of like this flat bag. As I went along, I increased and then decreased to create this like curved shape. And then when I got to the flap, I just started crocheting along like the back wall of the bag, back and forth until it was tall enough that it could flip over. And then when I was done with that, I added on this little rounded bit here in the front to kind of mimic the one that Da Vinci drew. And then I crocheted around the entire flap to give it more of like a finished look. I definitely should have made this entire flap longer. I should have made the rounded part here bigger, longer, more rounded. Honestly, I was so over it at this point. My hand was cramping up. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I was so ready to be done with this experiment. So I might have skimped a little on the flap, but whatever, I think we get the point. Then I added this little strap so that I could actually use this thing, and I steamed this purse. I've never steamed any crochet project, but I've seen that it can help things to like lay flatter. Before I steamed it, it was kind of like scrunchy and wrinkly looking, and it helped to flatten it out a little bit. So in hindsight, definitely would have done some things a little bit differently. Obviously, it's not exactly like Leonardo da Vinci's bag. I'm pretty proud of it. I may not have fully replicated Da Vinci's work, but I did, let's not forget, crochet this entire thing with my non-dominant hand. Didn't cheat even for 1 single second. That's pretty cool, honestly, because this is a functional thing. I could wear this around town and I can be proud of what my left hand did today, the past 3 days. And I think that's pretty cool. And I wonder, what would Leonardo think of this bag if he were alive today? By the Virgin's veil, what strange land is this? Oh my god. What is this? A satchel? Most unusual. Oh, it's your handbag design. I tried to recreate it. My handbag? Thou sought to craft it? Yeah, but with yarn and with my left hand, 'cause you're left-handed. Not leather nor brass, and wrought with the weaker hand? A deliberate test of skill or madness? I mean, probably a little bit of both. A most noble experiment, but tell me, does it endure? Toss it hence. Yeah, okay. Oh, that was, of course, an experiment, a test of the aerodynamic qualities of the piece. Right, yeah, very scientific. Ah, yes, you, Liz Foolery, possess the heart of an inventor. Keep pushing the limits of what's possible. Whoa. I really need to get some sleep. If you would like to see more dumb stuff from me, please subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this silly experiment, and I will see ya next Friday, and maybe every Friday forever after that, or maybe every other Friday. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure it out, but I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!